Hello, everyone.
So, your voice comes from Pacific Ocean, as I understand.
Yes, down below, yes. West Coast, United States, yes.
Okay, now the screen will be yours.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Calvin. Many thanks to all of you and for this wonderful invitation. Is the sound clear? Yeah. I feel a special kinship with Estonia. In fact, I have been in Tallinn and Tartu many times since 2006. So Estonia has been an important place for semiotic gathering for many years. In this sense, I feel like SemioFest seems to have been around for a long time. So the topic or the key address that I have, Crucible of Innovation, Fusion of Design and Semiotics. I just want to say a word about the idea of the crucible. Historically, crucibles were containers that can withstand very high temperatures to melt or fuse ingredients and alter their contents. So this is really very helpful metaphor for us to understand how the culture of innovation is a container for the fusion of design and semiotics. However, in order to talk about the fusion of design and semiotics, we need to revisit the notion of reality itself. This is really very important for me. Next slide. Next slide. I need to see first the second slide. Do you have it? Are we okay with the second slide now? Slide number 2. Yeah, it's on. Thank you. So the problem of perceiving and understanding reality begins with the belief in absoluteness. According to Jean Gebser, who wrote a wonderful book called The Ever-Present of Origin, Gebser described absolutize as to separate and isolate, is to think prospectively versus aprospectively, which is the ultimate focus of an individual perspective of reality that's ironically opens up as it closes space at the vanishing point. So we seem to have developed a tendency to experience reality in ways we value and in manners that enable us to perceive more of what we value. What we perceive is not really reality itself, but reality exposed to our way of perceiving. Slide number 3. Thank you. So this perception of absolute reality is the mother of all confusion. I'll explain. Where humanities, including arts, when I talk about humanities, I'm including the arts in humanities. Where humanities and art and sciences separated from each other and gradually becoming two autonomous cultures. Not to be confusing with other culture that we speak of, but it's becoming two different autonomous domain that are separated for a long time. However, during the Renaissance, the separation between humanities and sciences, between the human sciences and natural sciences, was unthinkable. It wasn't something that people even believe in. Ironically and strangely, several years ago, we had a Leonardo da Vinci exhibit in Seattle, Washington here. And most of the media whether it is virtual media or otherwise. The people talk about Da Vinci as a scientist, an artist, but no one even called him a designer, or better or worse yet, semiotician. Even Charles Sanders Peirce is not just a philosopher, a logician, a humanist, a phenomenologist, but also a scientist and mathematician. Even though there's no need to debate whether semiotics reside in the sphere of science or the sphere of humanities, the notion of semiotics as the science of science is misleading. This is very rampant in literature, by the way. This way, the notion of doctrine of science is more accurate than the notion of science, which historically seemed to be coming from medical systems, a discipline of sciences, of course. It is commonly understood that where discipline of science value objectivity, rationality, reason, and neutrality, and always concern for the truth, disciplines of humanities value subjectivity and imagination. Because the sciences are concerned with how things are in nature and deal primarily with what is true or factual. For example, in scientific method, the right or true answer is always the outcome of conventional thought and traditional research. Well, certainly the right answer or true answer works well for natural world and technology, but it is extremely limiting and even misleading in culture and social studies. The humanities, on the other hand, deal generally with expression of real human experiences and are open to multiple interpretations, a significant point which I will come back to it. The cleavage between the realm of humanities and the realm of sciences has emphasized the difference between what we consider the real and what we consider the true. Slide number 4, please. This is very important point here for our topic. Where the true depends on factual information, the real relies on multiple interpretations. And where the true is characterized by descriptive explanation of that which already exists, the real distinguished by prescriptive composition of the possibility and potentiality of the human experiences. Keep in mind that I'm making distinction between descriptive and prescriptive. It is clear that cultural experiences are real, but material things are true. An iron is true, gold is true, but my relationship with you is not true, it's real. An expression is real, but scientific observation is true. The real and the true are, for the most part, are inclusive. This is very confusing, and I'll try to explain what I mean by that. So while I'm separating the true from the real sometimes becoming true and vice versa. There is a subtle difference between the real and the true. I'll give you an illustration. The perception of a body of water in the vast desert is real. The mirage of water, although an illusion, is a true optical phenomenon. So the real can be true, and the true can be also transformed into real. However, if reality were always true, Christopher Columbus would have fallen off the edge of the flat earth. Overlooking the subtle difference between the true and the real result in confusing and limiting assumptions about the reality that we live in and co-create. What is needed is an awareness of the role of the imagination, which I will explain later, how the imagination is actually mediates between the true and the real. Slide number 5. Certainly, semiotics challenges the subtle difference between the real and the false. And design it challenges what we perceive as real or imaginary. It challenges also the real and the imaginary, based on the work of Vidyard and Umberto Eco. The irony is that human beings cannot have true without false. Another dualistic way of thinking. A case in point. Cyberspace creates an opportunity for us to imagine and perceive tangible objects, physical environments, and real events where digital apparatus and we as humans intertwine in visual and virtual and visceral sensational experiences. You might heard my clock here saying it is 12 o'clock, it's time for me to go to bed. No, I'm just kidding. What we experience in cyberspace is a kind of navigation through what I call diaphanous space, transparent space, and polychronic time. I am here in Orcas Island in West Coast at midnight, and you are all there in Tallinn at mid-morning tomorrow morning. Fascinating, isn't it? Which is one is true and which is real? Is my time here real or true? Or is your time and place real or true? The real and the true never the same, or they can transform. Slide number 6. Semiotically, it is certainly reasonable to consider the relations among the real, the true, and imaginary to be inseparable and undivided triad. Signs shift easily with context over time. They can represent many things, and they can cross all kinds of perceived boundaries. The boundaries among the real, the true, and the imaginary are flexibly transparent, more than we want to admit. This process of significance is open, dynamic, interpretable, and transparent. Slide number 7. Humans are no longer satisfied with facts, and they demand to understand their connections with environment and among themselves, and strive to discover ways to recreate their reality. Through semiotic process, human beings can cross the threshold among what is real, what's true, and what's imaginary, making new representations and therefore constructing new reality by design. The imaginary motivated by desire and love. We actually experience that on a personal level. Can imaginary motivated by the desire and love and can be seen as mediation between the real that relies on multiple interpretations and the true that depends on controlled factual information. The distinction among the humanities and sciences and design reveal a fundamental difference in their way of exploration, This leads us to the three categories: search, research, and inquiry. Next slide, slide number 8.
Yes.
Thank you. Ironically, the words research and search, the words search, research, and inquiry cannot be viewed as synonymous. By the way, it's in the literature. This is incredible confusion about what's being searched, research, or inquiry. The subtle difference among the category of search, research, and inquiry is of fundamental importance. Let me start with the most common term that we call research. Research has been associated with the scientific method, which is derived from inductive and deductive reasoning and seeks true understanding through the establishment of facts. Researchers systemically draw on theory, accumulated knowledge, and experience to generate ideas about how to solve problems. The word research that I know beforehand is what been saying by Kessler, actually, that in order to search implies the act of going in circle or traversing to find truth or reveal what is hidden. Most literature identifies research and search as systemic investigation directed toward creating knowledge or verifying truth. Both search and research are driven by a specific goal that aims at discovering a single truth or finding a specific fact about an observed phenomena or experience. Granted, scientific research and search have benefited sciences and humanities in predicting and controlling some aspect of nature, arriving at fact or truth. But as a result of their logical dissection, reductionistic thinking, and analytic perspective, sociocultural reality becomes a set of fragmented entities and therefore is less meaningful. Basically, design is a multi-dimensional human activities of inquiry. By definition, design is intentional and synthetic and covers a wide range of disciplines that are essential for engaging in social lives and responding to environmental challenges. Although research and search rely on systematic investigation, which follows a defined process that is repeatable, is predictable, and produce the same result every time is performed. Inquiry, on the other hand, utilize systemic. So I'm making a distinction between systematic and systemic. Inquiry, that is in the heart of design, utilize systemic thinking, which is holistic, integrative, interdependent, and leads to emergent, unexpected outcomes. Research is a primary, what I call a concept recall. A concept recall process and characterized by the metaphor of what I call empty chair. That is, a sense of wonder that seek an answer to the quandary of why a chair is empty. There must be an entity to be found or recalled. Research is a way for understanding the past and the present. Search, for the most part, is a concept attainment process. Metaphorically speaking, is what I call a springboard that leads to a finding or a bridge that connects to further steps of exploration, a way to find or discover something new about the future. Now, coming to inquiry. Inquiry as a core of design and semiotics. This is very important for me to stress that really semiotics and design rely on inquiry, not just research and search. So inquiry is undoubtedly a concept formation process that demands imaginative and integrative skills, exemplified by the metaphor of symphony composition. It's that we hear about interdisciplinary or transdisciplinary. The idea how to compose these disciplines together to create what we call symphony composition, and that's in the heart of inquiry. So, as you can see from the slides, I'm making distinction between concept recall in research, concept attainment in search, and concept formation in inquiry. As characteristic of design and semiotics, inquiry is the way to conceptualize, imagine, and achieve the desired future. In concept formation, there is no preconceived ideas, fixed answers, or solution to be remembered or discovered. Inquiry is a way to imagine and reach a desired future. In this sense, inquiry is formed, interpreted, and by imagination. Next slide, slide number 9. This is important, which leads me to the issue about how we integrate factual information and imaginative interpretation. Excuse me. You see, there is a fundamental difference between factual information as the product of the realm of sciences and multiple interpretation that offered by the realm of humanities. Since imagination is a way, or as a way of perceiving things as they compose an integral whole, imaginative interpretation is a semiotic way of calling our attention to integrate elements from sciences and humanities, irrespective of how diverse in reality, into a unified experience that gives the possibility for innovation. Accordingly, integrating factual information and imaginative interpretation may seem somewhat as paradoxical pursuit. Well, Peirce says, or reminds us, the highest grade of reality is only reached by science. This means that the only way to recreate and transform reality into the highest grade is through semiotics and design. Next slide, please. Slide 10.
Yes.
Once again, we humans are no longer satisfied with fact. We demand to understand and recreate our reality. The fusion of semiotic thinking, which characterized by imaginative interpretation, and design approach, which is characterized by prescriptive composition, conceptualization, and concretization, is indeed the crucible of innovation of that which is yet to come, that's something new to emerge. Next slide, please, 11.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, there is a significant implication for other disciplines and fields if they are listening to what design and semiotics are about. The fusion of design approach and semiotic thinking is a creative an innovative way of reflecting and conducting an inquiry in all fields and disciplines. Next slide, please. This can, in fact, develop other disciplines and fields, because the very act of semiotics thinking and design approach play with, and I stress the word with, not within the established boundaries of these fields and disciplines. You see, design and semiotics allow others to play with boundaries, not within boundaries, which in fact can develop discipline and fields beyond their own current situation. Next slide, please. The cleavage between the real and the true, as I said earlier, between the realm of humanities and the realm of sciences, has contributed to dualistic thinking, where a change and continuity, innovation and stability are seen as opposite poles. There is no change without continuity, and there is no continuity without a change. This is really in the core of Peirce's cynicism, continuity. Next slide. Integrating factual information and imaginative interpretation may seem somewhat as paradoxical pursuit, as I said earlier. However, that may be the case. We need to keep in mind that paradoxes are the basis of human condition, and at the same time, they are intrinsic characteristic of both semiotics and design. So many things were written about paradoxes in semiotics and design. Interestingly, the word design, which actually in Arabic word called tasmim, are the same word for design. So tasmim means design and perseverance. To persevere is to design is to persevere. Both semiotics and design, a discipline of sciences, of course. It is commonly understood that where discipline of science value objectivity, rationality, reason, and neutrality, and always concern for the truth, disciplines of humanities value subjectivity and imagination. Because the sciences are concerned with how things are in nature and deal primarily with what is true or factual. For example, in scientific method, the right or true answer is always the outcome of conventional thought and traditional research. Well, certainly the right answer or true answer works well for natural world and technology, but it is extremely limiting and even misleading in culture and social studies. The humanities, on the other hand, deal generally with expression of real human experiences and are open to multiple